reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. You're listening to Crowfall Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems. And by Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter to get your first month free. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Crowfall Reporter podcast. I'm Chris, and I am joined once again by the wonderful, the ever so eloquent Mr. at MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Chrissy. Oh, no, we're not doing that?
No.
That was in the show notes, seriously, like about 8 seconds ago. And
yeah. Yeah.
I wonder who put it there.
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to go there, because then which one of you two is Jack?
Oh, obviously, I'm Jack.
Right, of course. Of course, you're the chef. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the laughter that you hear in the background, of course, is the ever so magnanimous Mr. at MMO Matty.
What's
Mr. Matt.
up, people? Hi.
We've got quite a lot of news, of course, being the irregular nature of the show that we've got right now. We've got tons of stuff because, holy cow, they put out information. So we're going to talk about stuff, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to start right now. Bill, what have you been playing?
Just really quick, I've been doing a little bit of Guild Wars 2, trying to keep my multi-person PvP combat in check, or not in check, but released from check. I'm going to be a PvP ace by the time Crowfall comes out. I'm going to be feared worldwide.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just suck ever so slightly less, but we'll see.
That's my goal.
That's more likely, isn't it? I've been playing a little bit of WildStar. I got bit by that again, and I'm giving it a test, and it's a game that feels like it should be better than I've perceived it in the past. So I've given that another run. And speaking of runs, I've been doing rares runs in Elite Dangerous, making fat stacks of cash in my rickety little Cobra, and just enjoying that. Shooting things, shooting people.
Shooting things
flying,
is fun.
Landing, crashing.
All fun things.
I think I just did the entire review of Elite Dangerous.
Pretty much, yep.
Shooting things. Fat stacks, yeah. You
crashing. I think crashing's the big one.
Yeah.
Crashing is very important, especially when you're in a wing.
Yes. All right.
Crashing into your wing mates, just to let them know you're there.
Shut up, Bill.
It's radio silence. You have to send your message somehow.
Point of contention, I'm hearing.
Matt, what have you been playing? Because I don't want Bill to talk anymore.
I actually. I have busted out my accordion and messed around on that. And according to Bill and Chris, I have also been playing a ton of other musical instruments, as you'll see in the show notes.
The accordion is like a gateway instrument. You get hooked on that, and it just leads into wilder and wilder musical instruments.
What are these kids getting into now? Playing those darn accordions.
Culminating into the most evil of Mongolian French war horns. Mongolian war French horns.
Yes.
French horns are cool. You can all shove it.
Even if they're Mongolian war French horns.
Hey, it's okay. Mellow out.
There's some history
just
there.
because saxophones are the best.
Is that correct? Thank you. That is my instrument, of course.
Mine too, when it comes to brassy stuff.
Brass. It's woodwind.
Woodwind it is too. I apologize.
Come on, Matt.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. I quit. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Okay. What else have you been playing?
I have been doing some Guild Wars 2, just leveling up, getting my dailies. Nothing too heavy in that, though. And I, too, have been messing around with WildStar again. It has been probably just under a year. Really, in the year that since I played, I'd really forgotten how fun it actually is. I just find it fairly a little bit tongue in cheek, which I like in my games. I love it when there's just a little bit of humor thrown in too.
Yep.
And it's just fun.
It is.
And then, of course, I've been flipping cards in Guild of Dungeoneering as well, which is pretty good. I've been managed to get a few more coins, a few more dungeons completed.
Are you through the jungle yet?
I am not through the jungle yet. I'm not even close to that far.
It's hard.
I'm finding the whole game is kind of hard. I am burning through lots of dungeoneering.
Those poor dungeoneers. I mean, they die so much.
And then I've done a couple of it's not on the show notes, but I've done a couple Darkest Dungeons runs too, and
nice.
added to the poor heroes in my graveyards.
That's all you do. You kill heroes in your games.
Absolutely.
I understand now. I understand completely.
How about you, Chris? What are you doing in game?
I actually was part of the Guild Wars 2 beta weekend a while back, and I got to play some Revenant, which actually meant that I jumped over to my Warrior now for PvP. I was mostly doing my Mesmer with a little bit of Necro and some Guardian and trying out some different stuff, but the Revenant, which is the new class coming out in Heart of Thorns with Guild Wars 2, is so much like the Warrior that I decided that I wanted to play on my Warrior now because that was a closer play style, and that was going to be better for me as I tried to learn how to PvP, right? I wanted to be on something that would be similar. More similar. I don't know what
More
the word
similish?
is there. Simlish. Yeah, that's a good language.
Yeah. Kind of the same. Let's just go there.
There you go. So I actually made a video of the new Stronghold mode of PvP in Guild Wars 2 that's coming out with Heart of Thorns. You can check that out. I'll throw a link in the show notes for those of you who are interested in that. I really enjoyed it. It's going to add sort of this lane-based MOBA-style PvP stuff. So... yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know. I don't think... did either of you get into that beta at all? The Heart of Thorns beta? No? Bill?
No, not me.
No? Really fun. And, of course, WildStar. Selene and I, we used to do the WildStar Reporter podcast. We jumped back into WildStar, got up to about level 10, and really having fun with it. I'm playing a Stalker there, which is not normal for me. I'm usually a very tanky sort of Granok big guy sort of thing, and I have to play an Orin. Because the Stalkers, that's the only race I like that is a Stalker. You have race limitations on that game. So, yeah. Made me sad. But fun still. WildStar is good. It really is fun. And a little bit of PvP in there, too. Just getting some moody masks. And I forget what that dungeon is called. But anyways. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we've been doing in game. Matt, you were going to say something?
I don't think I was, actually.
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking. I got some of the moody masks, too, when I was playing the other day. That's all.
You PvP too?
Apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so let's move things along to the news.
All right. So one of the first things we're going to talk about is they have actually released a series of videos showing some of the characters' powers in action, and the one I really enjoyed watching, and am now fairly excited to play, is the Knight. The powers of the Knight. The video was great. It's the first time that they're showing the powers, the animations, and the FX all combined into one, which is super awesome. In the video, they show the Onslaught combo, which is just a low-cost damage dealer, and it hits over 2 hits. It hits 1 target, and then it just kind of goes into the branching ones, the branching combos that we had talked about in, I think it was podcast 1, was it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have named them now. So the first line is a shield lunge, which is smashing 3 targets in front of the knight for crushing damage with your shield, also known as shield to the face damage, which it looked really cool even in pre-alpha. Mm-hmm. It's a setup move for Bring the Pain, which is the 3A, the last one in the A line. Deals more shield to the face damage and knocks the 3 opponents in front of you down And yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the Bring the Pain, that has a very special animation, doesn't it?
It does. It's cool.
That is the coolest thing I've seen in Crowfall so far. I have never seen it. Basically, the knight is taking his shield, and instead of your typical shield bash, which is just like it's like you're trying to lunge or thrust with your shield instead of your sword. Like most games, it almost seems like the shield bash is basically your regular sword animation, except the shield just stays stuck to your hand. No, they actually, the dude kind of like tucks his sword down a little bit, puts the top of the shield in both hands, reaches over his head, and then crashes your opponent down in the head. And it's the coolest use of a shield I've seen in any game. I approve of this.
I heartily approve. There is a little bit of talk about that it's not how they use it in real life, but I think it looks freaking amazing.
Okay,
I
sorry,
don't care.
not what they use in real life.
I searched in the forums. There was some
Okay.
little silly. I fully realize it.
Just because it's never been done before doesn't mean that somebody shouldn't try.
Oh, I know.
Maybe they've probably just been missing out all this time. If 500 years ago somebody thought to do that instead, I bet you it would have worked brilliantly.
And it's true. I understand. I mean, it's so much more realistic when the knight jumps up in the air, spins around twice, and then flops down. That
in 120-pound plate armor too.
Right.
There's complaints about that too, but anyway.
So let's file this under the internet will complain about every damn thing they bloody well can.
Yes, they will.
And move along.
All right, and then the beeline powers, which are the swordy ones, which are not shields to the face, but they're still kind of cool. The first beeline one is after the onslaught, you would move into a spiral slash. It is slashing weapon damage, your sword obviously, to 3 opponents in front of the knight over 2 hits, which leads directly into rend, which hits 3 targets again over 2 hits and adds a bleed to all of the characters it hits. And then the cool thing about this one is it hits a single target that you've got the target reticule on at the time, and adds a fairly hefty extra bleed to them. But it is still not a shield to the face. And then, go ahead.
No, I'm just, I'm so happy. It's funny. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't, I know I'm jumping in here, Matt, but I haven't followed a game this closely in development where they've been this open. I don't think ever. So it's so interesting for me to see every little tidbit here and be salivating over a freaking gray box model with some barely colorful characters, doing basic animations. They are and they look really, really cool.
This video has made me want to play the knight. It's pre-alpha gray box stuff, but I want to smash things with my shield. As a knight, I want to
crack them over the top of the head. How dare you?
Exactly.
Smash.
And then the last little bit that they show, and apparently somebody snuck it into the video, the leap slam. It shows the leap slam attack, which it's some sort of power-up thing, and then it draws in the enemy and smashes them in the head with the shield from above.
Here comes, boom!
Which is awesome.
I got the video lined up with that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And that's
and totally realistic.
Oh, totally. Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Nobody's complained about that one, I'm sure. No, legitimately, this has got me excited to play a knight in the game. This video here of the powers, the animations, and the FX, whacking knights that don't move and barrels, and I want to be a knight now. I want to be a knight.
You can be a knight, Matt.
Thanks. Yay.
So are we still, this is looking like the people who are going to want to play a knight are frontline, tanky. I'm not necessarily going to kill everyone, but while I may kill 1 or 2 people, no one is going to kill me. That sort of player?
That's kind of the feeling I get from what I've seen in this video.
Cool.
And people who like to smash things.
Yes,
with shields,
which is me
in the face.
Which is me. Shields.
There's actually a phrase for it. It's called destruction therapy.
Yes.
You've heard of destruction therapy?
It's cathartic. I have indeed.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, destruction therapy is basically, instead of going to a therapist and talking out your problems, you go to somebody's garage and smash things until you feel better.
Yeah.
Or until you hurt your hand or something like that.
Now, I also happen to know something else in this game that likes to do something to the face. Something along Fireball of Truth to the face.
Fireball of Truth to the face. That is the Confessor powers. And now we actually have pictures of Fireball of Truth to the face.
Yes.
So the other animations that they were showing off, they've basically got 3 classes now that they're kind of walking everybody through. And these are the 3 classes that I think are going to be in the first combat demo alpha
That's what they were saying, yeah.
Rameling Dong event that they're going to be putting out. So the Confessor is your Fireball of Truth to the face, of course. And yeah, so we got to look at that. So the fire animations they've got, obviously they're standing in a gray test environment. Anything that's burning and fireball-y and flashy like that is going to stand out. So the Confessor did actually look pretty cool.
Yeah.
You could see it actually turns out that the Confessor is not really that long range fire from the back kind of class that you would have maybe suspected from a caster class or a fireball tossing class or something like that. This is very much it seems more like a medium range quick burst runaway type of class. And you'll kind of see that, or I hope you'll see that. I saw that when I looked at the animations. So their basic attack is, surprisingly enough, just tossing individual fireballs one at a time until you get to the end of your basic attack chain, and you throw a spread of 3 fireballs going out. Just small fireballs, but whatever. Those are the ones that are stacking up your sin stacks on enemies, though. So that's the point of that. The right click power is Zealot Rush, which is essentially it almost looks like you're skateboarding on fire. So
I like it.
It's a quick boost, 10 meters. You can see that it's kind of a catch up. It's either it could be used as either a catch up skill or a quick jump up in someone's face maneuver to be followed up by get the heck out of there. So that's sort of what I see. It's a stamina power move, so you're going to have enough stamina typically to be able to do 2 quickly. So you could Zealot Rush in, do a big Absolution attack or something like that, and then Zealot Rush out again. So that's that. Absolution, you might be wondering. We talked about this before. This is the sin consuming ability, and it's actually kind of interesting. It wasn't in this video. I think it was in one of the Q&As. They talked about sin. Sin, the way it's set up right now, actually stacks generically, which means that if you have 5 confessors all blasting away, each confessor can benefit from the other confessor's sin stack. So you can have 5 shooting a fireball to quickly get a 5 stack of sin on someone, and then have someone else just throw absolution on them. And you can almost have a constant chain of absolution on and to burn someone down. So I can see some interesting. I thought it was just an interesting tack to build up group combos and that kind of thing. So that I could see how a wandering band of confessors could be a wholly terrifying thing if you see them fireballing their way towards you.
Right? I could see that. I could see that being frightening.
So you're standing.
See that being frightening.
You're standing there, Matt, with your heavy duty knight that's just is there designed to survive everything, and you've got 5 confessors bearing down on you, tossing fireballs and stacking sin up on you. Are you feeling good?
Yeah, probably not, because that means I'm going to burn in flames.
But you're feeling groovy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still going
to get to bash at least one of them on over the head before.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then finally they showed the big meteor purge, and Yeah, well, I mean, it's a meteor. It's huge, giant meteor. And the longer you charge it up, the bigger it gets, and it's just a big meteor. How do you fight a meteor?
Sorry, Bill, what is it again?
It's a meteor.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It's like a really good pizza. It's a meteor.
Wah, wah.
So of the three, I still identify as a confessor. I think more than anything else, that's speaking to me. I'm still curious to see what all the other classes look like, but if we were jumping in, the confessor would be what I would be running around in, and or what I'd be horsing around on, I imagine. What about you, Chris? What would you play?
And it's funny, they've got the 3, and for me, it would definitely be the Legionnaire, which is our wonderful 4-legged centaur friend, who is absolutely adorable from what I hear. And
Adorable.
Way to keep it going.
So they've got a very similar video to the one we've seen before, where the Legionnaire is coming around. First, you got the basic attacks or the spear swing, and the third and fifth swing include a blue trail to indicate some mana regen effect being cast. And then the Raging Cry is a rearing animation with a red tinge that does sort of like a mana boost. And then Scatter Horde is, and there it is in the video there, a whole bunch of times, slamming his spear into the ground, which is a AoE knockback. So very cool to see that, watching the video go through again. And then Charge is a running shoulder slam into things, which they do into the barrels, which I think looks absolutely cool.
Now, they actually talked about the barrels too, like in another Q&A, which I thought was kind of cool. The barrels are basically created as characters as it stands right now.
Yeah.
For the purpose of giving them mass and giving them some presence and physics in the world and everything like that. But it also has the handy effect of being able to, because it's a character, it's a camera mountable place, so you could basically possess a barrel and watch that Legionnaire come charging into you, and again, question your choices in life for being a barrel.
That's funny. It's gonna make me laugh for a while. Yeah, it's really cool, and I'm still fascinated by this idea of a character who, when you think of a centaur, you're thinking big, strong, DPS tank, right? All that sort of stuff. But this is it's got some damage, but this is looking like it's a buff class, right? It's a support character. So
I don't see tank with
no,
the Legion.
not at all. This is support, total support, right?
That's
and not even full heals.
Support, but support.
Yeah.
The way they talk about it, though, in terms of the physics and that kind of thing, it almost needs to be a little bit tanky, because it's there. Part of the benefit of being a Legionnaire is taking up that space and being that physical presence that blocks things from getting to the people behind you.
Yeah.
So by virtue of being a big fat target, it's going to be a little bit tanky.
Well, that's with a power like Charge too. Absolutely, there has to be some sort of tank element to it, because a support character is not going to be running up and shoulder slamming into stuff at all, right? So I don't know. I can't wait to see the Charge, especially against characters in game instead of barrels.
I loved that Scatter Horde ability. I thought that's a fun one. That if I could just see if that posse of confessors are all converging on you, ready to absolution your horsey butt, just throwing one of those down and watching 5 confessors go flying in all different directions, that would be hilarious.
Yes, yes it would.
So Bill, basically what you're telling me is when you and your 4 buddies come to attack me, I just need to make sure I'm near Chris, and he will knock you all down, and then I smash you with
on
my
your ass.
Very slowly, yes.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's another thing that came from one of the videos we'll talk about in a little bit. All right, combat chat number 3. This was posted just a little while ago. Well, quite a while ago now, on July 30th. But basically some more information about the combat systems in the game. Always nice to see this stuff coming forward. Again, like I was talking about before, just lots and lots of information coming forward here. So a couple things that came that were discussed in here. First of all, why bother grouping? Why do you need groups? And some of the things they discussed were it forces including different archetypes, having different types of characters, and it shrinks or grows the powers based on how many people they should affect, right? So should they have a group of 8 or a group of 6? Because that will affect, if your buff goes to your party. If you've got 8, that's a more powerful character ability. If you've got 6, that's a less powerful ability that players have. And it's not a 1v1 game. This is not a sparring game, right?
So what I read was they're aiming to have minimum groups of 3 players playing together as a group.
Well, and the vision that they're trying
right
to
now.
The vision that they're trying to fill is not is the interaction of players' abilities together to become basically greater than your parts. That's the impression I'm kind of getting, what they're going for here. They don't want a knight to be this unbeatable thing that just wades in, and then somewhere else you've got a ranger picking away at them, or a confessor, or whomever, and then you've got your legionnaire throwing mana buffs and everything like that, just at a completely separate thing. The idea is that their abilities are going to somehow mesh into more like power moves or combos, and like it kind of cross-class combos is the vision that I'm kind of seeing here, and that's what they're trying to fill in with groups. That said, I thought the fact that the question was even asked was kind of interesting, because it's just one of those kind of outside of the box, well, why are we doing this kind of thing. Every MMO ever has had grouping where you, in spite of walking around in a massive Zerg, there's still some division that gives you a couple of buddies that you're working closely with. But I don't know. I mean, in a chaotic battle kind of thing, what if there were no groups?
Have we've all done WoW in Guild Wars 2. There's no need for groups there.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
Not at all. So that's, I think, a good example of, and that's not, I don't mean that as a compliment. All right? It's not like, oh, look, they don't need to have groups in Crowfall because Guild Wars 2, WoW doesn't have it. No, it's simply that they need to do it right because Guild Wars 2 doesn't have it and it sucks there.
I disagree. I think it's actually, it's a situational thing, because obviously Guild Wars 2 World versus World is situational. It works really well when you get the right situation of groups coming together and having a fight and everything like that. It just winds up being fairly rare. The biggest benefit that I seem to see in Guild Wars 2 World versus World is just wandering around claiming stuff and hoping that you don't run into a bigger Zerg than yours.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So does that get fixed by having cohesive groups? Like if you get a solid group of 6 players, do you think that's whose abilities kind of work as nice cohesive units and that kind of thing? Do you think that that eliminates the need to run around in a Zerg? Do you think people are actually going to say, yes, I'm going to be this group of 6 that just goes around and does their own thing? Or do you think or do you think we're just going to see a tendency to have everybody mashed together into a giant pile and follow the leader kind of thing?
That is such a game design thing that we need to wait and see how they design the game around it, because I hope that they design it in such a way that you can't just Zerg. I hate the Zerg intensive nature of World versus World.
Well, I don't see how they could restrict it, but the trick is going to be setting the game up so that it's rewarding to spread out.
Correct. Like
if there's a way, like if I imagine sieging a castle, for example, if there's a big benefit to having attackers at the north and the south and the east.
Okay, and imagine if there's a way that you can do a little stealth mission and have a small group go in and be able to do something in the keep.
If they can implement that would be truly awesome.
I remember discussions during the Kickstarter about being able to tunnel into a keep. Right, now, if you remember that. Oh, go ahead.
to be fair, the best that I've ever experienced that kind of thing was actually in Dark Age of Camelot when they did their first foray into when they did their big redesign of all the frontier lands. The stealth classes could stealth up and actually scale walls to a keep that was about to be attacked, and you could get little groups of stealthers taking out guards before the main force attacked the gate.
Right.
So that you wouldn't necessarily have the archers raining down arrows on your force or anything like that. And that actually was a legitimate tactic. You would have these little stealth attack groups of 2, 3, 4 stealthers all hitting the walls at the same time, and they were just lethal if they were really well coordinated. And you could wipe out a pretty significant wall defense that way if you, again, did it right.
There you go.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I would love to see a little mechanic like that, where not necessarily exactly that, but something like that, where a little bit of strategy, a little bit of pre-gaming your attack or staging your attack pays off.
Yeah, it would add another level to the taking of the keep. But I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. Instead of, like, again, the thing that I'm most scared of is having everybody line up at a spot on the wall and have your
smash door.
Yeah, exactly. You've got your big battering ram to just bash a hole in the wall, and then everybody runs in. That's what I'm hoping isn't common.
Right.
It'll happen. You know it's going to happen. But if it's not common, then that's okay with me.
Yeah. I agree. All right. So that was the combat chat. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that was one of the questions from the combat chat. I think they did, if I remember right, that was like 6 or 7 questions in that one. It seemed short, but it actually wasn't.
No.
So it was a good one.
There was 6 or 7 questions, and they were all pretty darn good.
We have a link in the show notes for you to check out.
We are going to talk about the Q&A session for the month of August as well. A whole bunch of user-submitted questions, and they just kind of answered them all. And I can't remember who. It was JTC, right, in this one? And
yeah. And
was it Thomas Blair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we really were interested in the structure of the characters as they relate to the guilds. Mm-hmm. And I really like how they're wanting to do this, where it's one account and you get to pick one guild. Doesn't matter how many characters you have, one guild.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's just, I actually kind of like that move too, because that makes the whole guild a little bit more personal. You know that you don't have like tourists coming in. You're less likely to have spies sneaking into your guild. They talk about that a little bit in there. That if you're the only guild that you can belong to is a guild that you're trying to spy on, that's a little bit you're sacrificing a lot there by being that spy. So that's there to mitigate that. My favorite bit of this, though, to throw this in there, was that there's about a 3-minute discussion all about the structure of hierarchical versus relational databases. And I just thought it was hilarious that a gaming. Come on, that was brilliant.
My favorite part of that whole 3-minute section was the fact that they actually got post. They got post to put in a tab where you could actually click on it and skip the whole thing.
That was
cool. My favorite part. Oh, okay.
And you could see that J. Todd Coleman, I call him JT because we're buds. He's an absolute data nerd, because you could see his eyes just lighting up as he's getting into the benefits of relational versus hierarchical databases, and setting up all the different connections between the different lists, and talking about all the different objects that he needs to monitor. It was glorious to see somebody having so much fun with database structure. That made me happy.
Your definition of fun and mine are very different, sir.
Sorry, just took a little
Chris,
nap there.
Wake up! We're doing a podcast here.
Okay, are we past?
We're not talking about data.
Database reporter.
Yeah.
We switched while you were out, Chris.
Yeah.
And then-
Anyways,
What?
So
Now that
So
we're all
now-
waking up again.
the other bit that kind of came out of that I thought was kind of cool was they talked about the notion of sub guilds as well. Like they obviously don't want to venture into multiple characters, multiple guilds, or even having a single character have multiple guilds. But a character can belong to a sub guild of a larger guild. So if you get a gigantic guild that maybe wants to split up into teams or into some other logical division or something like that, they're going to support that up to, like they talked about, their rough target was going to be about 3 sub guilds. So you could have a guild with a sub guild that has a sub guild that has a sub guild. And if that's not enough to divide up your guild into the teams that you want to divide up, then I don't even know what to do for you.
I'm really, really curious to see how this comes down, because I don't know. I can't think of any MMOs, not that I'm, that well versed in them like you guys, but I can't think of any off the top of my head that have a system like that goes that deep, especially.
Well, Chris and I were in a raiding guild in World of Warcraft that they didn't have the game structure for it, but they did have the guild was kind of divided up into class leads. So the guild would have one person who was in charge of all the warriors and another person that was in charge of all the paladins, and their job was to kind of help everyone understand their class and play it a little better and everything like that. So while they didn't have the mechanics in the game to support that, I could see that being a perfect fit in Crowfall to have Confessor Team Alpha and Legionnaire Team Alpha and that kind of thing.
well, but I think that works well when you're going to have the one big guild. But if you want to have, for example, as if for with Crowfall Reporter, MMO Reporter, are we going to want to have our own full guild, or do we want to have this sub guild that then we can join different guilds as we so choose to be part of something bigger?
I don't think that's how it works, though. I think the sub guild has to be a part of.
No, because they talked about a sub guild wanting to go and join another sub guild, another guild. They mentioned that in the video.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that
missed
either.
I caught
part.
that. I went back and listened to it again. But they said, so if a sub guild wants to go and join another guild.
Huh.
So go out. I'll try and find the timestamp to put in the video. Or in the show notes.
Yeah, that's I totally missed on that. So if that's the way it is, that's curious. Mm-hmm. That your sub guilds might be tighter than your overall guild.
Well, and that it could be like a platoon, right?
Mutiny.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe there will be mutiny in this game. That could be glorious.
I love that you went there so fast, Bill. I love it, just so quick.
I really want to be surprised.
In the fall session of the game, and you're looking at it, and your guild is just obliterating the map, and nobody else can even get a foothold anywhere. And you look around and you say, we could totally knock them off.
Of course, you would go
And now
there.
I've ruined any chance that I'll ever be invited to any guild.
Pretty much. Ever, including ours. Hello.
No, Chris, I thought we weren't going to tell him that yet.
Oh, right. Darn it.
I'm going to start my own sub guild. I'm going to get all the confessors, and I'm coming for you.
Heard you won.
So, by the way, those of you watching the video on YouTube or watching live, still talking about databases in the video. I'm showing it live as we're talking here. They're still talking about databases.
And later on in that video, they actually bring up databases in the background again, and he starts talking about it. But thankfully, Blair cuts him off fairly quick.
Yeah. So, anything else about this specific topic we want to move on, or?
I'm good. I'm excited to see and very curious to see how they do the whole full guild, sub-guild thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have a link to the video in the show notes so that we can check that out. Let's move along to our tips and tricks section.
So for tips and tricks, we wanted to talk a little bit about the post that they made about crowd control and the theory that's going to be going in, or the theory of how crowd control is going to work in Crowfall. So we'll just do a quick breakdown of the post, and then we'll kind of roundtable it here and see how everyone reacts to it, or what you think, how you think that this is going to play out. Mm-hmm. So they kind of opened up the article with with a history of crowd control in MMOs, and it's if you've been a long time MMO player, you know that there's been some awful, horrible, painful crowd control systems out there. They talked a little bit, again, specifically they talked about Dark Age of Camelot, and they mentioned the whole stun guard phenomenon that happened in there, which primarily due to the Thane class, but also with a bunch of other classes. Were just, the stuns were ridiculous. Like, you could do almost nothing if they got their CC off before you got your CC off. But that didn't even touch on the fact that they had classes in there that could mesmerize areas of people, not just individuals, but areas of people for over a minute. So imagine if you're in a big battle with 100 other characters around you, or even just 50 other characters around you, and you're sitting there for a minute, and you watch your whole crowd of 50 other players, one by one, get mowed down by this Zerg just because they happen to get that big mesmerize spell off before your Mezzers got their spell off.
I don't rage, and I actually didn't play Dark Age and didn't see this happen, but I have a funny feeling that might have made me rage.
Well, it's the whole thing, and I remember the forums just going nuts over this kind of thing, because it's no fun to not play your character.
Yeah.
To be sitting there with your finger up your nose just waiting for your turn to die is not fun. So there's a bunch of different, they talk about a bunch of different mechanics that can that you could use to kind of mitigate crowd control and that kind of thing. And what they've kind of landed on is almost it's like a threefold method. So in one of the methods is that they mentioned is to kind of have a diminishing returns effect for crowd control. So, for example, if you get stunned for 6 seconds, when that stun wears off, if you're still alive and you get stunned again, then the next stun only lasts for 3 seconds, and then after that, it's only a second and a half, and so forth. So they're making sure that you're not going to be permanently disabled by allowing that. And if you take that into the context of the whole 40-second time to kill, that should make sure that you're always going to have at least a chance to defend yourself. You're not ever going to be completely stun locked down. Now, another way that they're going to make sure that you have the ability to act is using a hidden stat that they're calling Resolve. Resolve is a point stat, or it's almost like a stamina bar, they described it, that fills up as you get crowd controlled. So if you get a stun laid on you, or if you get mesmerized, or whatever other crowd control methods they might have, your Resolve builds up. And if you get enough crowd control in a short amount of time, Resolve kicks in, and it makes you crowd control immune for 15 seconds, which is actually a really long time, especially if you're in a large battle where you've got a lot of classes that are trying to throw area of effect crowd control down and that kind of thing. If you've got 15 whole seconds to not have to deal with that, that's actually a pretty big deal. So, and these are obviously rough numbers and will change over time and everything like that. But it's also a decaying stat too. So if you get crowd controlled once, like 20 minutes ago, and then move into a different fight, you're not going to have this cache of Resolve waiting to get used up for the next time somebody tries to stun you. So on top of that, so the third prong of it all, so you've got your Resolve, you've got your diminishing effects, and on top of that, every single class is going to have a retaliate power, which is going to allow them to instantly recover from knockdowns, so that you can't constantly be nailed by the scatter horde spear throwing you all over the map. Eventually you're going to be able to just pop up from one of those knockdowns and kick that horse.
Fireball of truth to the face.
Fireball of truth to the face. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
I don't think my shield to the face damage should apply to that, really, though, as a knight. I don't think so. I don't think that'd be fair.
The fiery shield to the face.
Oh,
Ooh, if you get a confessor and a knight attacking at the same time.
Wow. And just to think, maybe you're back in the guild. Maybe.
Combos.
So, Bill,
Combos.
Just so you know, Ratstu in the chat room said that explanation is so much better than the one on the forums.
Oh.
Good job, Bill. Woo!
Hoorah.
Yay, Bill.
I'm glad it made sense. It made sense in my head. So anyway, so that's essentially how they're looking at crowd control. So that should hopefully give you a little bit of a base of knowing what you're going to deal with, what you're going to be able to recover from. And again, coming back to that whole time to kill, where they're right now the aim is at 40 seconds. I'm feeling confident that no matter what class I take, I should be able to participate in a fight. I'm not going to be completely locked down in whatever CC hell gets inflicted on me. So
still, I couldn't imagine that.
What do you think, Matt? What jumps out at you here? Like, is there anything to this system that you like or you hate or
No, I like the resolve system. Like I said, if I would have had that done to me in any of the MMOs that I played, of course there wasn't anything like that in World War II Online. But anyway, that was for you, Chris. Absolutely, that was for you. I like the idea of that I'm not going to be consistently stunned, consistently not able to do anything with my character, and there is going to be a system that's going to let me just go, you know what? No. Yeah. I like the resolve system. I do.
And I also like, just to jump in here, I liked their comparison to Rage. That the Rage mechanic, which is it's a bar that starts out empty, it gets full, but decays over time. And that was a good comparison as well. So I like that there is going to be CC, but there is, like you mentioned, Bill, nothing more frustrating, especially in PvP, nothing more frustrating than a stun lock. Mm-hmm. It's only
smashing
fun for one
nothing
person.
Happened.
Right?
Nothing happening.
So it can happen in WoW sometimes, but they've actively been fighting against it. Rift, I remember talking to them about it. That was something they made sure wasn't in the game. You couldn't stun lock people. So yeah, I'm really happy that they're doing it, and it's also quite proactive in a way, in that you're going to have powers that are going to let you, how can I put this? It doesn't neuter crowd control, but it doesn't make you feel crappy because you keep getting crowd controlled. Yeah, it's a good balance. I like it.
Yeah, and when you factor in that every class is going to have, or most classes at least, are going to have special abilities that are going to allow them to kind of remove themselves from the physics engine to kind of bypass those stuns and those knockdowns that might happen. There's another mechanic that's going to allow you to kind of work through that. I mean, it's obvious that they're making sure that crowd control is going to be a piece of the game, but it's not going to be the piece of the game.
Right.
Like where in some cases where whoever did the best crowd control always won every single fight. It's going to be important, but it's not going to be the end all and the be all.
Mm-hmm. And that's our hope, at least. We'll see once we actually get playing. Then
I have faith.
Well, you are going to be a confessor after all.
Exactly, yeah. Are you saying you don't have faith, Chris? Do you have 5 stacks of sin on you? Because if you do, I have a special treat for you.
Fireball of truth to the face. All right, so that is crowd control theory in general, and I can't wait to see what it's going to look like in game. Before we move on to community, we want to mention our sponsors real quick. You can go to audiblepodcast.com/MMOreporter and check out everything that they offer. They are the best place online to get yourself an audiobook. I know I've been listening to Wheel of Time through Audible, so I've really been enjoying that, so go check that out. And of course, our friends over at Doghouse Systems. Go to doghousesystems.com, use the coupon code MMOReporter, and you will get yourself a free 120 gig SSD on top of what you already get with your system just by using that one coupon code. So go check it out. So So we've got a couple cool different community bits here, some from the Artcraft team. First of all, we've got a cool video where they are getting you to meet the visual effects team. It's always nice to see, especially at this part of the game, meet all the people that are putting in all that hard work on this game that you are very much looking forward to. So you can go and check that out if my screen loads here. We'll have a link in the show notes. They've actually added 3 new visual effects team members to the team, so that's pretty cool. I like the video, and if you look, the new members of the team are quite interesting.
I feel like that's setting something up.
Have you watched the video?
I'm afraid I have not. I did not do my homework.
Oh, well, that's... Yeah, you need to see the video. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
So we'll leave it at that. I'm not even saying anything, but those watching the chat room are totally getting the joke that Bill's not getting. So, moving things along!
Okay,
Bill.
fair enough. I see. Interesting. I get interesting. Speaking of interesting, the other video that's kind of popped up in the Crowfall stream that I liked is it's called a team effort, or as Chris likes to call it, the A-team effort. So
I pity the fool that doesn't like this video.
Basically, the best comment I saw was that imagine if you were watching The Office, as in the TV show The Office, set at Artcraft, and that's what we're looking at here. So anyway, I'm not going to spoil it because it's just good. But
I haven't seen it yet. I have to go watch it as soon as we're done here.
Yes, you do.
Definitely do. and then the community bit that I found a fairly informative forum. Again, links in the show notes and whatnot. But angrycrows.com, community-run forum site. It seems to be, I've been poking around a little bit, seems to be a lot of guild members and people that are fairly heavy into other MMOs kind of getting together and figuring out your guild's accomplishments, and I can't speak tonight apparently, and just lots of discussion about all the content that's coming up on the Crowfall website and stuff like that. Fairly lengthy discussion about the whole one account, one guild effect on politics and the spying and the metagame that all is and stuff like that. I found it fairly informative and just finding all sorts of neat little kernels and interesting tidbits and facts that I didn't know about. And that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's always good to find these different communities too, because I find that like the subreddit, for example, has a certain voice, and the main forums might have another voice, and it's good to kind of get different perspectives there, because otherwise it's really easy to fall into the trap. Well, everybody thinks one account equals one guild is crazy. So when you actually hunt out and find these different groups of people taking a different tack on it, it gives you a bit of a more complete conversation about the issue.
I always worry when I hear from somewhere, usually it's on a forum or in chat in game, well, everybody says, everybody knows that.
Yeah. The community thinks
Yeah.
I haven't found on this site, I haven't really found that all that much so far.
That's
so far. I will qualify that answer.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
All right. Last thing here we want to mention is our PAX Prime meetup. MMO Reporter is going to PAX Prime, thanks to all of you who supported the Kickstarter. And we're having a meetup. We're changing location this time. We're not going to the Elephant Castle. We're going to the Rock Bottom. So August 27th at 7 p.m. We've got all the information at mmoreporter.com/PAX. We do want people to RSVP so that we know how many people are coming. So go check that out. We want to meet all of you. If you're
have a beer with us.
If you're at PAX, or if you're just in Seattle, you're not going to PAX, but you're in Seattle, you want to come out, hang out.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Come have a club soda with us. We don't care.
Doesn't have
Apple
to be
juice.
A beer.
Apple juice.
Could be unicorn tears with a squeeze of lemon. You know,
it could be. I heard those are good.
Favorite drink.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try this, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Can you let people know how to contact us?
You betcha. You can find us on our website at mmoreporter.com. And we also are all over Twitter. You can find us at the Crowfall Podcast, hashtag at Crowfall Podcast on Twitter. Apologies. You can find Chris at Almazar.
Good job.
Bill is at MMO Bill, and I am at MMO Matty. Those are all our Twitter handles. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network. And of course, the Facebook at facebook.com/MMO Reporter. Leave us notes, leave us messages, tell us what you think, tell us that you like us. We're kind of needy, but that's okay.
Kind of.
Really needy?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hey, 8 hours is not that bad. You're right, Bill. 8 hours is not far at all. All right, Bill. Matt, it's been a fun show.
It has.
It's been a fun show.
Rat stew, 8 hours nothing unless that's nothing unless it's 8 hours either uphill both ways.
Barefoot.
In snow.
Yeah.
While walking across broken glass.
Yes.
Anyway.
All right, thanks, guys, for a fantastic show. That was fun, as always. You guys are great. Thanks to our chat room. We had quite a few people in and out, just a couple of people talking, but it's still nice to see. We usually record, right now we're still kind of all over the place as we figure out a great night for the show. So just watch Twitter, watch Facebook for all of our information about when we're going to post. Thanks for watching, everybody. We sure appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us. We hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that you come back and enjoy next show, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at mmoreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.